Welcome back, Ceramics 1. In this video, we're going to go over your slab box requirements. This is the introduction to the slab box assignment. So, your slab box should have straight walls, nice cornered edges, and it should have a lid that fits on the box and does not fall off when I tilt it to the side. Okay, the way that you have your box locking mechanism for the lid is up to you, and the way that if you want to have feet on the bottom, that's up to you. I'm going to leave those as artistic choices. What you should do before you start the next couple videos is you should finish your planning sheet. You should have your cross section nicely drawn out in a cross section style. You should have your floor plan nicely drawn as the floor plan style, like we talked about in class. You should have your locking mechanism diagrammed here, and you should have your final, what you expect your texture on the outside to look like. Then on the back, you should have your templates drawn out, and then your actual templates cut out of the pieces of paper that you're going to put onto your slabs when you're done. Okay? So, that being said, those requirements that are right on the side here, you need to have your box between 4 and 6 inches. You need to have a locking mechanism. We can do some impressed texture, you can do additive texture, you can do subtractive texture. But as far as your locking mechanism, here's one. And it's good locking from this side, but from the other side, it slides right off because this student only thought about locking mechanism in one direction. So make sure that you think about your locking mechanism from both sides. This one, a little bit on the more creative side, we've got some inscribed or subtractive carving there. This lid is interesting. It's got a nice handle, it slides off, and the locking mechanism is those 2 posts on either side that lock down inside like that. No feet, but that's okay, not a requirement. Handle is not a requirement, but it's there as well. So this one has a different look to it, and this student has thought about kind of the overall unity of the box, just like we talked about in class. Here's another locking mechanism. This one, triangular, doesn't have to be square. We've got impressed texture from a texture plate, which we'll talk about in one of the other videos. A locking mechanism with just the simple row on the inside that fits into the flat parts of the sides. Little feet, little just rolled up spheres that are on there. You could get more creative with that. But then if we look at like maybe a bad example, we've got, of course, no name on the bottom, F-, and we have, like, you can still kind of see the slab construction there, which we don't want to see that. Also, on the inside, we'll come back to this example, they didn't glaze the inside, and they didn't do a securing coil here on the bottom. Now, they did do a nice job on their locking mechanism on the top. It's like totally solid. But the texture on the outside is just also just kind of an afterthought. It's really rough and scratchy. So as you start thinking about your overall designs, think about the form of your box, the 3-dimensionality of it, but also think of that texture or the walls and how you're going to decorate, whether it's additive, subtractive, carving, or impression, or even modeling of somehow. Now this one, although this texture isn't like super awesome, at least I can tell this student has like given consideration to these diagonals and how they curve into the other side, and that their diagonals are repeated on the other side. So this student, and the texture is like smooth and it's not all gritty and nasty like the other one. This shows like, maybe they didn't have the best craftsmanship, but at least they were being thoughtful and mindful of what they were doing on the surface. Okay, this one is kind of cool because we've got some interesting feet that play into the inside of that. You can kind of see that triangular base inside, but the student did not put a locking mechanism on it. So that's docked points. So make sure that as you look through the requirements on your plan sheet and read through the rubric, you have everything in place. It's 4 to 6 inches wide, long, tall. It has a clear locking mechanism that you've diagrammed here. You've got everything in place, okay? So plan your work. Look at the slideshow that's on the internet, on Schoology or somewhere else, depending on if Schoology changes, and you're making a good plan for success in your box. Okay, I'll see you in the next video where we talk about rolling out slabs. Thanks for joining me.